Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Open Door Show from Property CEO. My name's Ian Charles, and I'm going to be with you for the next half hour or so. What exactly is Open Door all about? Well, it's your chance to take a bit of a dive into the world of small-scale property development on Open Door. We talk to the movers and the shakers out there, all in an effort to give you the lowdown on what's really happening in the world of property. We also like to take a look at some of the areas where we think, well, it could be a good opportunity for new developers to take a look at. And of course, as a property development training company, we get to see all the things that our students encounter on their journeys. So the other thing that we like to do is to shine a bit of a light on the challenges that can get in the way of people kind of on their journey. And hopefully share a little insight on how people can overcome them. So what's today all about? Well, today I wanted to talk about something that I see a lot of people get wrong, and that's their online presence. So basically their website. And this applies to anyone that has a website. So it's not just property developers or property people generally. It's basically anybody that has a website. And I think in particular, people that are perhaps just starting out. So they've got a relatively new business and they're trying to get their web presence out there. So let's kick off with a few basics. Why is having a website kind of so important in the first place? Well, I think when you start with any new business, one of the things that you need kind of as soon as possible is credibility. And of course, the problem is that you don't yet have a track record that you can show people. You don't have any testimonials. You don't have any other customers. You're brand new out into the world. So you've got to kind of convince people to do business with you by other means. You've got to get them comfortable that your business is sound, that you and your business has kind of good values. Now, in some businesses, the customer's buying decision might be relatively low in value. So if you're offering a product that costs a few pounds, well, that's the buying decision. A lot of people in that instance are probably going to be quite happy to take a bit of a risk. After all, if it turns out that you're a complete charlatan, what's happened? They've lost a few quid, not the end of the world. But in property development, the value is always much higher than that. So if you just think about the people that you're going to be working with, so we're talking about commercial agents, those people get paid a four-figure fee typically. But of course, they only get paid it as a commission if the sale goes through, if you proceed with the sale. Professionals, so people like architects, structural engineers, solicitors, project managers, and the like, these people, again, are going to be getting a fee, probably four, maybe five-figure fee. And again, only if you secure a project and proceed with it. Then you've got private investors. So private investors who are going to be lending you money. What are they going to be lending you? Maybe five-figure sum. And then we've got the commercial lenders who will be lending you probably a six-figure sum. So all of these people have got a very material interest in having a relationship with you. So you kind of need to create a bit of a brand around you that gives them that confidence. And a big part of that brand is basically your website. In fact, branding is so important that we allocate a branding coach to every one of our mentorship students when they come on board with this, just to make sure that their branding is as good as it can be. So today, what I wanted to do was to share with you what I think are the 10 most common problems that I see with new business websites. So you can hopefully avoid falling into the same trap. So let's kick off. Number one. Number one is actually the lack of any branding at all. So no brand, no business, no logo, kind of no effort to present oneself as a business. I think what happens here is for people, perhaps that they're not particularly into websites. It's not something that they can do on their own. And they kind of think, well, actually, I am my brand. Therefore, I'm good at talking to people. I can sell myself. So they kind of rely on their interpersonal skills to kind of sell themselves. But put yourself in the situation where, I don't know, let's just say you're going to find, you're going to hire a tradesperson or maybe a professional. You invariably, you might have, there might be a word of mouth, might be a reference from somebody, but at the end of the day, you're always going to check out their website. You just want to be able to get that confidence, don't you? That there's something tangible there. It's somebody, you know, maybe they've got some other testimonials on their website. It just kind of gives you that confidence that if you're going to hire this person or this company, that actually there's sort of something about them. If they don't have a website, then what kind of does that tell you? At least it raises a question mark, because you can't validate. You've got nothing to base an assessment of them on. So you're left out with not having enough information. And of course, what does it tell you about their business? So what you need to do is to make sure that you've got a website. The other thing that a website does is it allows you to portray yourself as both a business and as yourself. And the important thing here is that two different things. So, of course, as a property developer, you are your business, your brand to your, you know, the business and personal branding are very similar. Nobody is going to do business with you without seeing you or meeting you or shaking you by the hand. But they are two different things, and it enables you to create that kind of distinction. So that's number one. The second thing that I see people get wrong is not leveraging their professional team. So if we think about property development specifically, then your professional team will include, you know, architects, structural engineers, project managers, that the whole, you know, your contractors, the whole range of trades and services that will ultimately be involved in delivering your project. Because of course, it won't be you. Nobody is thinking, well, you're the property developer, therefore, you know, get a trowel out and start laying bricks. That's not the way it works. So the people that will actually be building your projects are not you, they're other people, and we want people to see them. So have a team page with you at the top, selected team members underneath, and maybe put a link to their website in that kind of bio section. Make sure you've got headshots, pictures of them, because, you know, people do business with people at the end of the day. So what that does is it gives everyone confidence that actually what's here may be, for sure, in the case of you, a relatively new developer, but ultimately in terms of what's going to be built and what this brand is going to deliver, well, actually the people that are working behind the scenes here, they have got oodles of experience, worked on hundreds of projects, and so it's kind of a safe pair of hands. It's simply a team that you've put together. So make sure that you leverage your professional team, because that gives confidence, inspires confidence in the brand. Another thing that I see a lot of is, and it not just in property development, but is people kind of doing it on the cheap. They do websites on the cheap. So you can normally tell, you know, when it's a bit of a DIY website, it looks a bit, it's not very slick, if that's probably the right way of putting it. It's doesn't look particularly professional. And then there's these little telltale signs which speak volumes. So perhaps they've got the email address is like a Gmail address or a Hotmail address or a Yahoo address. So it's like a free email account that they've set up. Maybe the web address is somebody else's. So it's they've obviously created a free website using a template from one of the template providers, and it's got the template provider's name in it. So it might have their name as well, but it's quite obviously a free web address. Now, it costs peanuts in the scale of things to be able to buy a domain name, and to buy an email address, an account, and basically set it up so that you look professional. So just basically get yourself a domain name that is yours, get an email address that is yours, and then that will make you look professional. Because what does it say otherwise? If you've got a Gmail address, and I think we've all come across perhaps tradespeople, you know, the local plumber has got a Gmail address, and a fairly, perhaps let's just say, not a particularly slick website. Again, we don't want to fall into that category. It just makes us look maybe a bit unprofessional, maybe just a very small business, a one-man or one-woman band, or maybe we just don't simply have enough money to be able to invest in our own domain name. Anyway, none of those are a good look, so make sure you don't fall into that trap. The fourth one, which is a bit similar, is the mistake that I see is people looking like a one-man band or one-woman band. So kind of working out of their car. So the way that manifests itself is normally on the contact page. So it says, call Jane on her mobile number, where Jane is the CEO. So you can see on the team page that Jane is the CEO. But then in order to get in touch, you ring her on her mobile. Now, what I always say to students is to take a cue from larger organizations. Whatever industry you're in, look at how the bigger players do it. And if in doubt, go with that. So if we take, I don't know, Persimmon Homes, for example, their web address kind of is not persimmon.godaddy.com. It's persimmon.com. On the contact page, it doesn't give their CEO's mobile phone number. Of course it doesn't. You know that it doesn't. So make sure, I know that you're not Persimmon. You may be a much, much smaller enterprise, but take a cue from that and make sure that you look professional. You don't look like somebody that's simply driving around the country, operating out the back of their car. Number 5 is actually about the bio page. So this is the sort of the blurb that you have under your picture. Really important part of your website because, as I said, people do business with people. And the most interesting thing is not the sort of words about what the company does and how brilliant you are and everything else. People like to, they're nosy. They want to find out about you. And what I see people do quite often when they lack experience, I think kind of imposter syndrome kind of comes in. So they kind of think, well, actually, I've not got a lot to go on here. I've not done, in this case, I've not done any property development before. I've done some IT projects, so maybe that experience would be useful. So what I do is I describe some of the things that I've done in my career that I think could apply to property development. And the problem with that is that the bio section kind of reads a bit like a CV. It's as if you're trying to convince the reader that I'm going to be good at this, honest, because look at all the stuff I've done in the past. So I'll be able to, transferable skills these are. So I'll be able to be really good at being a property developer because I've done all this stuff in the past. And actually, no one was thinking that you weren't any good at as being a property developer. That wasn't what was going through their mind until you said that. So we do not need to make our bio sections kind of like a CV. That's not what we're looking to do here. So please don't fall into that trap. At the end of the day, you are the entrepreneur. So your team has got the credibility that you need to be able to build houses, do conversions, whatever it is that you're going to be doing. You're the person that is making it all happen. So absolutely, you've got skills of your own that come from your background. And many of those may be kind of property related, who knows? But even if they're not, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, you're the person that's making this business happen. Nothing would happen unless you actually pulled the team together. So what you have done is seen a business opportunity, you've created a team to take advantage of it, and you've created a brand and a business around that, and you're making it happen. So you've got automatic credibility because you are the most important person in the whole picture here. So yeah, don't make the mistake of being almost a little bit apologetic in your bio section to try and feel like you're grasping at straws to see why anybody would believe in you as a property developer. Take it as read. People will believe automatically because, hey, you've got a website which says that you're a property developer. Number 6 is what I call a lack of congruency. And it's kind of linked a little bit to the last point, which is where people feel that they have a requirement to be able to give some sort of evidence of their credibility as a developer. And the usual sort of thought process in their heads goes a bit like this. It will be, right, I haven't developed any property yet, so we're just kicking things off. Website's looking great, but I want a page of kind of case studies. And what have I got? Well, not a lot. So we've got the little buy-to-let that we did up. There's that one, and there's the we put an extension on the back of the house. And so what they do is they end up then having these images on the case study page, which are not congruent with the rest of the website. So the rest of the website looks like they're going to be doing, I don't know, commercial conversions. Let's say that's a very common one. So they're going to be taking property and converting a commercial building and converting it into flats. Well, that's great. Fantastic business opportunity there. Lots of opportunities throughout the country. yeah, there's loads of reasons why you should be doing that, and that is a very valid strategy to pursue. But the problem then people have, they're sort of nodding as they go through the first pages of your website, but then they get to the case study. And of course, they're expecting to see a commercial conversion that you've done. It might be a commercial conversion that one of your team has done, because obviously your architect and so on are going to be the ones that are doing it as part of your team. But then they see, yeah, the buy to let or the extension or the garage or whatever it is that you've actually done. And of course, it throws them totally, because they think, well, hold on a sec, that doesn't make sense. Here's I'm being sold this dream of commercial conversions, and then I get somebody building an extension, and it just kind of marks you out basically as somebody that doesn't have the requisite experience. Again, we do not need to do that. So there is no rule that says that you have to have a case study or some sort of previous projects on your website. So if you haven't got them, don't put them on there. But please do not put stuff that is not congruent with the sort of projects that you're likely to be doing. Similarly, the other end of the scale, I see a lot of this. I see a lot of people putting kind of skyscrapers and massive civil engineering project pictures on their site. And it's like, well, you're not building that. You're not, if you're doing a small commercial conversion and maybe half a dozen flats, yeah, you're not building something that's you'd see in Canary Wharf. And so again, there's that lack of congruency. So make sure that what you're actually depicting on your website matches what it is that you're actually doing. Moving along, we're getting through these nicely, aren't we? So number 7 is headshots. So I would always encourage you, as I said, to have pictures of yourself and your team on your website, because we're all interested in people. And so that's, and it also makes you famous, doesn't it? Because, okay, in a small way, because when you then meet somebody and they've been on your website and they go, oh, yeah, or even the other way around. Oh, yeah, I met them. So it makes you the CEO. You're the most important person in this business, and they recognize you from the picture. Or then when they meet you, they recognize you from the website. The problem is that obviously headshots, pictures of you, come in all different shapes and sizes. And I've seen all sorts over the years. I've seen some very good ones, but I've also seen some very bad ones. The ones that are bad, here's a sort of a kind of a basket of things that are normally bad. One, holiday snaps. Do not have holiday snaps. Not because of the whole kind of swimwear thing is inappropriate, but because that isn't a professional look. You may look happy and it's a really pleasurable moment for you, but actually holiday snaps, is not professional enough to be on the website. At the other end of the scale, if you've got one of those really dull, boring corporate photos, mugshots, that again isn't great. What you're trying to do is go for the middle ground, which is looking professional but approachable. So don't look miserable. Have a bit of a smile, but again, don't look like don't have a cocktail in your hand. It's that middle ground, but make sure that you take care to do it. The other thing that you want to do is make sure you've got pictures of your professional team. And of course, the challenge here is that in most instances, whilst you can do this, most people do not go around with a photographer and have a photo shoot for all their professionals. So you're kind of reliant on the photos that your professionals give you. There may be ones that are on their website, which is fine. Just make an effort to make them look as similar as possible. So whether, first of all, make them all the same size. Secondly, if you can kind of crop them so that they're from roughly the same kind of point up on the, whether it's a headshot or from the chest or whatever, make sure that the profile of the shot is broadly similar. If they all look really, really different, maybe even consider making them, just putting a filter, black and white filter on them, which is easy to do. Just so, again, they just look like they're a little bit more similar. Number 8 is an interesting one because it's one that most people forget about. And that's the mistake is not to involve a copywriter. What does a copywriter do? Well, a copywriter is somebody who basically zhuzhes up text. I'm not sure that's the right expression, but they take text and they refine it. And the problem that I always see with, almost every website where it doesn't involve a copywriter is that the quality of the text is below what it should be or could be. Now, the problem kind of manifests itself in, if I was to say to you, can you draw? Are you a good artist? Are you good at drawing stuff? Now, most people know whether they're a good artist or not. If I asked you to draw something, you would instinctively know, well, no, that's not gonna end well. Or you might be thinking, well, actually, yeah, I'm pretty good at drawing. With words, if you can write, people automatically assume that that is sufficient. So they're able to communicate what it is they want to say, and therefore what they write is going to be acceptable for the website. And it's not. It isn't acceptable, and it shouldn't be acceptable because it simply won't be good enough. It won't be as good as it could be. So what you need to do is to hire a copywriter. What I would say is to make it as cost effective as possible. You write what you think is your best effort at the text that's going to go on your website. But then before you make it live, hire the services of a copywriter to kind of knock it into shape. And what they will end up doing, and it's relatively cost effective because you're not asking them to write the text from scratch. It's not going to take them very long just to kind of refine it. And you will be amazed at the transformation. It is almost, some cases, it is the difference between people that can draw and can't draw. You kind of think that, well, they're drawing the same thing, but it looks completely different. And you can get the words kind of really zinging off the page. It sounds very professional. And it takes away that kind of slightly more amateur feel to the more organic words, the homegrown words that you've put together. And even if you are very good at the English language, I would still urge you to get a copywriter. The other thing that's kind of linked to that is making sure that you don't have any typos. Having typos on a website is a big no-no. You might think, well, actually, no, nobody died. But what does it say? Going back to the amount of money that people have invested in you, if they're going to do business with you, what does it say about your attitude to business if you couldn't be bothered or you didn't have the skills, education, attention to detail, professionalism to be able to spot that your website has got spelling mistakes in it? Not a good look, a real own goal. So please make sure, again, a copywriter can help you kind of dodge that particular bullet. Okay, we're getting there. 2 left to go. So number 9. This is an interesting one because it's actually really difficult to avoid doing. When you're writing your website, most people fall into the trap of thinking that the people that are going to be reading what they're writing are people that have sort of materialized via Google. So they're kind of thinking, well, my website is going to be out there in the ether, and anybody who goes on Google and searches for whatever they might search for is going to potentially find me, and they find my website. And so when they write the text, they're kind of writing for that audience, an audience of unknown people who have kind of just suddenly sort of found the website and are going, oh, I wonder what they do, wonder what you do. And that actually isn't what happens at all. In fact, pretty much, I can almost guarantee, not 100%, but that nobody is going to find you that way. I mean, even if somebody wanted to find you and they knew what you were called and they tried to Google it, they might find you, but you'll probably be on page 42 because you are not trying to get ranked. Because at the end of the day, it'd be a waste of effort on your part investing in SEO to try and get yourself ranked on Google, because who's going to be looking? At the end of the day, you're a property developer, so who's going to be looking? Now, obviously, this doesn't apply necessarily if you do want yourself to be ranked, in which case you need to invest in good SEO. But as a developer, you don't need to do this. The reality is that the people that are going to look at your site fall into one of probably 3 categories. They've either met you already, and they're checking you out. So imagine that you bumped into somebody, I don't know, at a meeting, network meeting, whatever, and you tell them what you do, and they thought you gave them business cards, and then that evening, just have a quick look, check out your website. Number 1. Number 2, maybe they're going to meet you. They haven't met you yet. So let's just say that you've made an appointment to go and do a viewing, let's say, with a commercial agent. Well, guess what? The commercial agent is going to look at your email address and it's Ian at abcdevelopments.co.uk. Well, they're going to go straight on to abcdevelopments.co.uk and check you out. That's what they're going to do. The third way is they potentially could have heard of you. So let's just say, maybe you've done some advertising or leafleting or whatever it is that you've done, or maybe just through word of mouth, kind of your fame is spreading, and they've heard of you that way. But those are the only three ways. So basically, what's going to happen? The people that land on your website are people you've already met or people that you're about to meet. That's pretty much it, which makes life quite easy because it means that we kind of already know the types of people who are in our audience. They're going to be agents that we're going to be doing viewings. They're going to be professionals who we're going to recruit for our professional team, private investors, commercial lenders. Those are the people, and people obviously we network with, but those are the people that are going to come on our website. So all we've got to do is to make sure that the contents of that website, they're going to kind of look as if it appeals to people that came from the outside, so to speak. But the reality is that it's only going to be people on the inside that kind of that are going to land there. And you can kind of tailor the content to that audience, if that makes sense. So always remember who your audience is, and always remember that they already know who you are when they come on your website. They're simply there to check you out. And I can tell you, you should assume that precisely 100% of everybody that will ever do business with you will check out your website, which is another reason why you need to have one. And even more than that, you need to have a really good one, a professional looking one. Okay, last one, number 10, quite an important one, but again, one that I see a lot of. In development, people worry about different things. And it's funny, actually, when we come across, we have new developers come on the program, they sometimes they're worried about a particular thing, and quite often they assume that everybody else would be worried about that exact same thing, but it's not actually the case. Some people are worried about finding deals. Some people are worried about analyzing deals. Some people are worried about recruiting a team, or about credibility. A lot of people are worried about finding money. So if they don't have funds themselves, particularly like private investors, because finding commercial money is relatively straightforward because there's an industry there to support it. But private investors, kind of different kettle of fish. And again, obviously we teach people how to go about that. But it's quite a lot of people feel anxious about the fact that they desperately need, the money makes their world go round. That's the fuel that feeds the property development fire. But if they don't have it, then they ain't going nowhere. So basically, they then over worry about the appealing to private investors, and they make their website look like a sales fest for investment opportunities. And there's a couple of problems with that. So the first thing to say is you should always be well aware of the what's going on in the world of the FCA in terms of the rules that apply to what you can and can't say with regards to private investors. So make sure you're up to speed on that. I'm not going to go into the detail here, but it's your duty to look that up, make sure that you're familiar with it. But the other thing that's really pertinent for private investors in particular is that you shouldn't ask for money. It's never a good look if you're appealing for money. Now, remember what I said before about the fact that your private investors already know who you are. By the time they land on your website, they've already come across you or they're about to meet you. If it was a conversation that you had with a potential private investor, again, they're just checking you out. So what is it that they are wanting to see on your website? It's not going to be loads of neon signs going, get your investments here, fantastic returns for everybody, sign up, sign up, sign up. That's not going to appeal to them. It's got to be a lot more modest than that. Yes, I would expect them to take some comfort from the fact that you mentioned that you work with private investors, but I'm not going to be too enamored if I see a massive kind of great big sales fest on it. So again, make sure that you're not doing that. Make sure that you're aware of what you can and can't say to private investors generally with regard to the FCA rules. And also that includes what you can put on your website, but also really importantly, make sure that you're not overselling investment opportunities on your website. So a mention is fine, but do not make it all about the money because that will actually go and put people off rather than encourage them in. Because remember, you have already met your private investors by the time they come on your website, typically. There we go. Wow, we got through it. That's all 10. Hopefully you found that useful. I would say you don't need to spend a fortune setting up your website. But if again, it's about looking professional. That's all you need to do. So take the effort to look professional, avoid those kind of more common pitfalls, and you should end up with a real asset. And the beauty of a website is it works for you 24/7. It's there for you without even thinking about it. And I can tell you, you never know when someone is going to check out your website. It could be any time of day, 24/7, 365 days a year. You never know when it's going to be. You only know that they will. At some point, they will check you out. Nobody who you do business with will not have been on your website. So it's that important. Make sure that you do make a good job of it. So that's it for this open door. As ever, it'd be really good to hear what you think. So please put any comments below. In the meantime, if you're interested in learning a bit more about how you get into small-scale property development, we put together some pre-recorded training for you. It's hosted by the inimitable Mr. Richie Clapson. And better still, it's absolutely free. And you can access it at propertyceo.co.uk/SFR. SFR stands for Six-Figure Roadmap. Right, that's it from me. Take care. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.